What's going on, everybody? Cameron, MoneyWarInvesting.com here with a band. Today, we're going to talk about Bitcoin. Woo! Spirit fingers. We're going to talk about the short squeezes. We're going to talk about longs versus shorts and how you can make some money. Okay.
Get those short squeeze, the long squeeze.
Yeah.
What kind of squeeze you can get.
If we can get a squeeze either one way or the other, make some money on it, let's do it.
Squeeze it up. Yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen. Hi, everybody. Let's take a quick look at the Bitcoins. We're going to start this on the monthly here and take a look where we are. We're about mid-month, June. This is the 12th of June. And so far, it looks like we have, found support right around this region is what we're looking at now. But we haven't broken below our 30,000 yet. So that's a good sign. We kind of covered this on our last stream. We are moving in an area where we could potentially push a little bit lower here, finding support at 48 to 52 range. And, we could come down here, test this 20 area on our ADX. I do not have our MACD up right now, but let's do that real quick. Get the MACD on here as well. MACD is still super bullish. So monthly is still looking bullish. No real reason for too much concern. Clearly, I mean, this 35% loss is no bueno. But even if we were to push down here to 23, 25, even 20, we would looking at this logarithmic chart. Let me draw a trend line here. You can see we're still okay in holding this trend here all the way down to 18 even touching this trend line. So let's take it down to a weekly time frame. This chart's been marked up a little bit. This was from our last stream and just kind of looking at these levels. It's interesting. The past 3 weeks, a lot of indecision in the market with these wicks up and down. Let me adjust this a little bit. You can see we had a inverted hammer here, which potentially could have been an indication that we would have moved up, and we were looking for that. But then we got this kind of like long-legged doji on this next week, and it looks like we're filling that out for this week as well. So really just a lot of indecision in the market on the weekly. We're looking, here at, I call these prayer hands on our directional index. They're kind of trying to figure out what they're going to do, which way it's going to go. And so we have a decreasing trend, but we have, no real biases on the weekly as far as which way we're going. MACD is no more telling. We are in a bullish zone up here above our zero line, but also we're declining, so it's a declining kind of bullish trend. And then the RSI is kind of showing the same thing. Now on the weekly, one thing to take note of is this area here, and I think we talked about this a little bit, this divergence. Okay, potentially really watching the weekly to see if we get a push up here due to this divergence. We're finding some support. It looks like all but a little bit, weak here and horizontal on the weekly. It looks like where, and that makes sense. It's at this 33, currently sitting at about 35. So we're certainly watching for this weekly close and where we're going to go from here. Let me get rid of this and this. Now I'm marking this chart up, but this is something that I'm definitely looking for, because if we break low, then this divergence is just not going to matter, because we're going to have confluence here, right? And we're going to push lower, maybe 23, 25, and then down here to this 20, maybe a little bit lower, 17, 18,000.
That indecision, those indecision candles are pretty crazy, because you don't really see that a lot in this current bull run.
No, not at all. And so, that's likely due to a lot of things. There's any number of, things happen across the world between China banning and arresting people, crypto. They banned, a lot of major exchanges as well in crypto. there's, and then of course we have, kind of bullish news with El Salvador and other, countries looking to adopt it as a national currency. So, I think certainly we're trying to figure things out right now across the market. We're looking at something like this. This region right here is pretty important. We may bounce around here for another few weeks. Okay, but as far as being able to tell a direction on this weekly, there's no real clear indication, I think, as to where we're going to go right now, unfortunately. And I could probably bring this up, tighten it up a little bit more. But we are we're going to move somewhere, and it's probably sooner than later. Let's take this down to the daily here. Let me get rid of this guy here. And so on the daily, I'm sure, so there's a few structures that have been kind of pointed out across different channels. I'm sure a lot of people looking at this as a potential head and shoulders pattern, okay, with our left shoulder, right shoulder, and then kind of this, or excuse me, head, and then our right shoulder with this 33, maybe down here to 30,000 is a neckline. Okay, that may be true. We have this kind of Wyckoff distribution. A lot of people looking for lower lows just based on that. I'm focusing in on kind of this area right here, right? So this guy here is kind of what I'm looking at. And what we're seeing is that we're, kind of making these high or lower highs, getting a sell off, a little bit higher, getting a sell off. So people are taking profit lower and lower and lower, but we're continuing to find support here, 34 down to 33, and with wicks all the way down to 31, and in this kind of like triangle here. Now, if you wanted to talk about a potential short squeeze, right, and the possibility of that happening, short interest is high, very, very high right now. I don't have that chart up right now, but it's definitely up there. And so that would be potentially a great play if that were to play out, maybe, where we get a nice push up here. But well, let's take a look here at the RSI. And so when I'm taking a look at this chart, let me kind of adjust this a little bit. I'm looking at this area currently, right here. Okay, because this is just where we're at, right in here. And we've got this little divergence. We're making higher highs on our RSI. We're making lower highs on our price action. It's a hidden bearish divergence. Now, the strength of this pullback is what we're curious about. Okay, there's maybe it's just this candle, and then we found some support here at 3,600, 3,500, wherever, all the way down here to 34, 35. And that might be it. However, if we close this week and we push down where we're at this 386, or right in here, so, and we broke low here, that could send us a lot lower, and that's when we could potentially see this 24 to maybe right here at 27, 26, 27, and a break low here. Because this region down here, this red region on the RSI that we use is very bearish, right? And you could see how this, anytime it comes into this region, you get like a nice big drop off. Now, we could count this, Elliott wave or everything else. I'm really just focusing on our support and resistance, really just basic here. Add one right here for this area right in here. But so, this downtrend may continue utilizing this area as support at 33, this area a little bit lower here at 30, 31, and bounce around in here. And if we see this divergence continue here, and I've like overmarked this up here, But if we see this divergence continue, where we're making higher lows on our RSI, and we continue to make maybe lower lows here, okay, what we're watching for, what I'm looking for, is a break up above our 50 and close above our 50, and a push up to this 618. That kind of, we're getting kind of the energy build up here, would likely push us up above, whatever our area of resistance that we hit. At this point, it would be somewhere right around here. And then if we push up against the 618 and we get that squeeze, then we'll probably see a cross like this on our ADX. We may see our MACD push up against the 0 line and move into this bullish region. And to me, that would be the indication that we're no longer, at least technically speaking, from that point in time, we don't necessarily need to worry about going much lower, and we're back to being in a bullish move up. But for the time being, we're not seeing that. Okay, I'm not seeing that happening right now. And I say that because, we don't have confirmation. There's no confirmation. This here is indication of a trend continuation. We are currently in this downtrend, right? Our every indicator is pretty bearish. We're bearish here. We're bearish here, right? And we are below 50 in RSI, so we're bearish as well. So the daily is not much better, right? There's still a lot of indecision in the market and where we're going. We're still in this, zone right here. And you could take this down here to the 30,000. So still trying to figure out what to do. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of answers right now, but there's the potential, again, for a short squeeze. Absolutely, with short interest so high. And I think we could just pull that up here real quick. USD. Oh, this is strategies. Sorry. Right. So you can see that the short interest is actually just exploded right now. Very
within
high.
Like the past couple of days.
Yeah. Right. And so there's, certainly with the I guess how we've been seeing with Wall Street Bets and this kind of stuff.
Looking for that.
Looking for these kinds of things. However, at this point, I'm not sure, how the markets could be manipulated. We may see, a pump here. I'm not sure where these shorts are coming from. This is off of Bitfinex, but as far as how it's hard to say. It's who knows who actually knows, but this would be great to have a squeeze. But let's get back to our chart here. There's no guarantees. And, we'd overlaid these charts and we could see that anytime there's like that massive short interest, we generally do tend to break low. And something that I pointed out earlier as well is, the difference between kind of this triangle here, right, that we're seeing right here. Okay. And then this one here is that this was on a bullish trend, right? This all was occurring in a bullish, this was bullish right here. This was bullish right here. Our MACD was bullish here. Okay. So we had this triangle, lower lows, finding support, and we finally broke out. Okay. This is on a downtrend. Okay. And so this descending triangle here is potentially, more often than not, they break low and we make another leg low. And you can kind of measure that. I guess you would do something like this here. And then you take it and then drag that down from where it breaks. This is a logarithmic chart, so it's kind of, there you go. Let's remeasure here, this guy here. And that pushes us, from where we could break down here to like 6,000, right? I don't think that that's necessarily the case. But, we certainly would need to pass straight through 26, 25 at this area of support right around here, right in here, and then 20. I'm still hopeful that we'll hit 20. I know that's not a popular opinion, but I would really love to see us down at 18 to 20 personally, just because long term, that's especially if we find really good support there. I think that's a great buying opportunity. Lower your bases, and we've finally broken out of that. So how long that potentially could take. Now, let's look at the upside here. Okay, let's enough doom and gloom and potential for it going down. If we do move up, where would we go, right? So I'm actually just gonna hide all this for the time being, and for that I'm going to measure out with our trend-based fib extension here, and I'm looking at this low, this high, and this low here potentially, right? And what we're seeing, and I may actually just move this up. Well, let's go on a weekly. How about that? All right, low, high, and then low. Okay, so these fit pretty well. Might want to take it here. Let me look at the RSI. So actually, I want to take it to the last time that we retested this 50 range as my low. Okay, so right around here, and then our high, and then now we're retesting 50 and our low here. So push up, we're looking for break above 50. 47.6 is what it says here, but 50. Our high here is at 382 is at the 67. Okay, so we may see something like the RSI and price come up here, push up against 47.50 range, come back down, find support here is like a kind of a wave one, right? Something like that. Don't look at the time frame. I'm just sketching this in here. And that may see something like a push up against this, a retest of 50, and then a break of this 618 would likely see us break this and move up into this range, if not higher. Okay, the break of this here would likely see us push up here. And so 100% extension, which would be pretty amazing, would push us up to 200,000. I don't think that would happen right away. We'll probably hit resistance if we were to push straight up here. Around 100,000 is just a psychological resistance. Before we came back down, we would need to retest this 62,000. Again, that would look something like that probably on the RSI, and then we might see this diverge, right, where it comes here, makes a lower high here, and then moves back down. That could see us push a little bit higher maybe, and we'll see maybe a divergence like this before moving down and doing some sort of correction. Okay.
Yeah. Plan B.
So,
Plan B was just tweeted today. Somebody that I really like to look at. He was saying he still thinks 266. It's very possible before the end of the year based on the chart that he uses. I forget what the chart is. It's
stock to flow.
Yeah, stock to flow.
Yeah, which is great. It's amazing. I mean, yeah, it's very, very possible. So I'm not discounting that, especially when we're looking at this on the weekly. Okay, there's just indecision. There's no clear indication on the weekly as to whether or not we will, or this is going to happen one way or the other. I mean, obviously, I'm never going to know 100% that it's going to happen one way or the other. But I kind of default to my DMI or my directional indexes here to, take the guesswork out. If I'm leaning one way or the other, but I'm not really sure, I'll look at the ADX or your directional DMI, your directional index here. Say, okay, well, I mean, if I'm going to lean one way or the other, I'm going to kind of lean to, if the green's on top, this is bullish. So, my kind of bias will be that it's going to continue to be bullish. That's not what we're seeing at all. I mean, we're looking at what is that? 7. So 0.07% difference in these two right now. So they can either reject and we can get a bullish push back up, or they can cross, right, and put us into a bearish trend, confirmation of a bearish trend through our DMI. So it's hard to say. The one thing that is, kind of, I think needs to be addressed, and we can take this out of log, is this divergence right here and here that we're finding support. Now, until we get it, from my perspective, until we push back up above 50 and are holding this on a weekly and close above this, 55 really, but 48 to 52 range, then, there's no telling. If it could certainly, this could tick low and then break below this 382, and that'll see us push down lower, right? But it's hard to say at this point. Now we could see like a B, C, D, E, right? Maybe push it a little lower as far as a correction goes. This might just be an A, B, C, and now we're working back up, right? Like we talked about earlier. But however you want to count it, however you want to look at it, I think across the board, when people are looking at this especially on the weekly, indecision, a lot of indecision. This is kind of choppy, just moving sideways. Every one of these candles,
you just don't see that. You don't see that previous.
Yeah. You had this little area here, sorta. The last time was kind of right here, right? In 2018, 19-ish. Yeah, 2018, right at the same kind of area. And what's funny about this here, right, where you see these three candles in a row that, on the weekly, not really sure, same kind of area. You can see these were intertwining. There's kind of a weak trend on our ADX. We were still in, a bearish zone on our MACD before we dropped and we broke this area of support here, right? And so that structure, I mean, if we're looking at it, it's kind of a sloping, descending triangle here, is similar to what we're seeing here on the daily on this guy here, right? Where we're kind of, sloping down potentially like this, but we're in a bearish zone here, right? Bearish zone here, everything else. But again, on the weekly, very indecisive. So we could potentially just continue to move sideways until some news comes out.
That's going to be federal regulation, but I think a lot of people are already accounting for that.
And that's efficient market hypothesis, right? Like everything that could be considered in the market has already been priced into the market, right? So that's why they say that technical analysis doesn't work, especially strong form efficient market hypothesis, is because everything, all the news, everything has been priced into it. So it's already, it is where, the market is where it's supposed to be.
Right. And it's
so
always priced six months to a year ahead of time.
So, but I don't know that it is. I don't know that this is all considered, because every day we're seeing, some sort of regulation come out, right? I mean, like, what was it last week? I think China, I don't know the reasons necessarily, but I saw the headline that they had banned a few major exchanges, but then El Salvador comes out and says, we're going to make this our national currency, right? So this bullish, bearish news.
Yeah, well, that's a decision in the candles.
Absolutely. So I think America, the United States, and, other, kind of bigger nation states, that's when it's going to really matter as well. Not that, America is better than anyone else, but certainly people are looking at what we're going to do about this. And certainly anyone in the United States is looking at like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? I know Kraken, for instance, they just changed their rules to get rid of margin trading for anyone who isn't essentially an institutional investor, right? So, and now you're seeing across the board with the KYC, know your customer, exchanges where before you could just, pull crypto in and out. Now you have to do, your KYC, and all of this needs to happen, right? We want to see this happen.
Yeah,
well,
I
don't want to.
I was looking at the correlation between the American markets and the Shanghai Composite, their system for their stock market. And you see that how the United States kind of economy controls what the rest of the world is doing at any one time. So when you look at the Shanghai Composite next to the S&P, and like 2008, when we had that crisis, you could see that world markets started to fall with America.
Yeah, of course.
And I think that all these other countries are really waiting for America to see like what kind of regulations are going to come into play. So, it's not priced in per se, but I think a lot of people are waiting for that decision before they really jump into crypto, because it's at a point right now where you have those people that are long and are never going to sell, most of them, but you'd also have those retail traders that are going to dump at any kind of emotional scare or something. But
absolutely.
It's just,
and it's, no matter what happens, I think the importance, I spoke to somebody the other day who had purchased AMC on the recommendation of her son, who is 19, based on his recommendation from reading, the stuff on Reddit, right? Yeah. And the investors or people just trading or investing, or however you want to look at it, really it's trading at this point, I think, making their decisions based on hearsay and this kind of stuff, it's likely carrying over into crypto. I mean, we saw this with Doge, that kind of stuff. And if that's the case, if we do see a massive dump, then we're likely to see, them just, jump ship, so to speak, and not just, kind of, diamond hands hold through.
Right.
And, I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, if your cost basis, or your average is up here, I mean, and it does go a lot lower, I could understand why you wouldn't want to see, this can, go down, and you've already lost half of your investment. Now, as an investor,
way more than that if you're in altcoins.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. But if you've been through this, if the past few cycles, you're kind of callous to it, I think, to some degree. I think as long as if you're in an altcoins that are decent, good projects that will, continue to grow,
go down further and go up further.
Correct. Yeah. Some projects don't or will not, right? And this will make or break them, like 2018, 2019 did for quite a few projects, that seem to be great. So certainly you want to do your due diligence when considering these projects, but there's a lot of pump and dumps. There's everything that we saw in years past is happening again, right? Like this is just, to me, it seems just like a repeat. This is
right.
We're reliving 2017.
More people are catching on. They're holding longer. That's why the market's moving higher.
Yeah.
We're accumulating more believers in decentralized currency for the people. But I was going to say, touch on kind of what you were talking about in terms of, you were saying like, you don't know 100% which way it's going. And I think a lot of new traders have this fallacy that there's some people out there that just know at any given time which way the market's going. And they always know, like on TikTok, if you watch TikTok, oh, it's definitely going down. It's definitely going up.
Yeah.
And it kind of gets into your mind and makes you think like, if you see enough of these videos where like it's going down, you're like, okay, I'm filling my bias now with it's going down. So you sell, you get emotional, they're fulfilling your bias, right?
Yeah.
And that's just not the way to trade. And that's kind of something we teach to all our members, that you can't follow your emotions when you're trading, and you have to stick with your guns after you learn how to trade. Because if you follow what other people say, you're going to get hurt one way or the other. If you follow what you say, I find most of the time your gut is kind of like the best indicator, along with your training, to figure out how to make money in this kind of markets. In these choppy markets is the best way to make money. But to touch on that a little bit more, I was watching an interview with Lex Friedman and Vitalik Buterin, the CEO of Ethereum. I'm not all the way through, but he kind of made a very good point that kind of fulfills that that statement that I said. He said that he bought Dogecoin at under a penny, right? And when it pumped to 7 cents, he made 7 times his money, a couple $1 million. He was excited. He told his mom or whatever. I guess he's really close with his mom. And he sold it. He sold it at the top, what he thought was a top, at 7 cents, and said like, okay, that's awesome. I made all this money. I'm done. I'm out. It dropped to 4 cents. So he said, he fulfilled his bias, saying like, oh, I sold it at the top. I'm, a good trader. And he felt great about it. Come to find out, a couple weeks down the road, it shot up to 50 cents. And he's the CEO of Ethereum, and he doesn't know what he's doing in terms of trading. So it just goes to show you that you can't trust anybody, and you just have to learn how to trade instead of watching these videos and just listening to people say what their bias is in the market. And that's kind of like why we stay neutral in terms of technical analysis, saying like it could go one way or the other, but this is what's going to happen, we think, if it goes that way.
Sure. And I wouldn't say that he doesn't know what he's doing when he trades, but certainly, when you're talking about Doge, is that I don't know that anyone could have predicted that a meme coin would have blown up the way it did. So certainly, I think he was smart to take profit, but you can't, and that's exactly why we kind of want to cover, the up or down, or which way it could potentially go in either scenario. Is you just don't know. You have no idea. Short of being from the future, right. There's no way to tell. I mean, technically, it may look like this and that. We see this indicator and that indicator, and then some news breaks or something comes out, and it just all goes to crap, right? Technical analysis is not an oracle, right? This helps us mitigate our risk, and it helps us understand risk involved. If you're trading, if you're an investor and you're looking to, go long on something, it helps you identify maybe where to find entry, and where to take profit, or how to have a stop loss, or just kind of the basic stuff, just on a longer term scale. But yeah, that it just goes to show you that you have no clue, because I never knows. 2 years ago, Doge, I mean, it was like, it was like, it's the same thing as what, like freaking cum rocket or whatever. We got these random coins now. It's like there's no, I mean, it's just, okay, great. It was novelty, right? It was novelty. And then all of a sudden the richest guy in the world starts talking about it. And now it does go from, 1 cent to $50 or whatever, or 50 cents, whatever it is right now. I think we're lower than that at this point, but yeah, Doge is at 31 cents. But even still, I mean, from 1 to 2 cents, I mean, that's a huge return on investment. So, but yeah, there's just no way to tell. But the best we can do is really just mitigate our risk and understand, what we need to do. So, that said, here's what we're looking at, potentially for the upside and the downside. It's just a wait and see thing at this point. Unfortunately, there's no, I don't have an oracle or, any kind of magic that I can tell you with any kind of certainty how this is going to go. But this is, we're looking for confirmation of a breakout of this nice solid daily close, specifically a weekly close. I'd really like to see like a full-bodied candle one way or the other to kind of get an indication of where we're going to go. I mean, we said this last week, close that on this, kind of like long-legged doji. This week, it looks like we may, short of having some serious movement here, close this on long-legged doji. And all this is just an indication of indecision in the market, right? We don't know, like nobody, anywhere is really certain. I think at this point as to which way it's going to go. And we see that across all the indicators as well. So, it's a wait and see at this point. If you want to be out, be out. If you're just holding long, hold long. If you want to try to trade this, have at it. It's rough. Choppy markets will, it's easier to lose money in a choppy market for sure. But have a plan, understand your risk, be safe, with your money, for sure. But, at this point it's gambling. There's no high probability one way or the other. There's obviously a lot of short interest, clearly, but we see what happens with that.
If you like this kind of content, make sure you subscribe to the video. We're going to be trying to update a couple more times a week, get some more videos out to you. You can check us out at moneywinvesting.com. Yeah, until next time, we'll see you.